Anyways, how about we start our
You should
fanfic
include
up?
me in our video as compliment. Yay!
Yes.
Fanfic time.
Well,
Mind if I give a
I've
little
had some
backstory on? Well,
Oh, sorry. Yes,
mind if I give just a brief little history of it?
of the
Of what?
Basically, this fan fiction I was writing, or actually am in the process of writing, is something that I wanted to do. Kind of like some kind of look into the dark side. We all have one. We don't. We all wish to admit it at some point. And this is just a look into mine. The separation between the light and the dark side. Because you know my logo, the two-sided heart, as you're all seeing in my Skype icon.
Yes, yes.
I follow that sort of thing, the vision and unity between light and dark. Anyways, before I go bore you any longer, let's dive in.
Let's dive into the
Shadowside, a crossover. Let's see. Hello, it's all to bring the story to you for the first time. Want me to skip that?
I think it's the author's notes. I wrote that. I was hoping people would understand it.
Well, let's see. Hello all, it's good to be bringing this story to you for the first time, so please allow me to elaborate. My aunt and I do so enjoy spending much time together. Speaking of all that is of the spirit realm, we both heavily emphasize our interests and study such things such as shamanism, spiritual healing, and above all light and dark sides. Ever since I first started talking to her about it, she has told me of the presence of a shadow side within each and every one of us. Most people are quick to assume that their shadow side, or dark side as some people have commonly referred to it as, is an evil force inside them, waiting to control them with the most distasteful of urges. But it's not all true. Sure, your shadow side can mislead you on most situations, but should you spend the time to become greater in tune with it, as I have, your shadow side can become the greatest guardian of the mind that you have ever acquainted yourself with. That does not entirely mean you can leave your entire trust with the shadow, though. You must learn to balance your faith in both light and dark in order to maintain a healthy mental lifestyle. From the start of these sessions with my aunt, I would write out these incredibly vivid dreams I would have, which all tied into each other somehow, as if like an ongoing story. The four parts of my own shadow side, as my mind so greatly created, visited me in many different realms. One half of my shadow would be calm and collected, yet quick to be angered when something should come before me. This half would be the one to tell me the right from wrong. The other half would be very, very grimdark, yet still willing to protect me. This half would be the one to tell me the wrong from right. Yet despite all that, this half of my shadow would still be very friendly towards me, lashing out at whatever enemies I might encounter within the confines of my mind. And then she came in. It was during one particular dream discussion that my aunt became intrigued in the appearance of my light side. She went into the discussion of balancing light and dark, to which I listened intently. It all grew on me, and my aunt and I grew closer together in our spiritual practices. In a sense, that is where the story originates from. Now, before anybody gets on my case about it, I understand that a site like this may or may not be the ideal place to post a story like this, especially considering the many familiar characters people may easily recognize from other media. And if you do recognize any of it, then good on you. But that's how my mind functions. My imagination is but an endless stream of brilliant thoughts to which I simply cannot let any of it go to waste. But with all that being said, I do so hope I may be able to entertain you with this. So here's Chapter 1, The Awakening.
I do hope that author's note was not too brash or confusing sounding.
Actually, it made me want to listen to the story a little more. I'm a little more intense, so let's get.
Well, thank you.
Let's have at it.
I hope the story is a little balanced, because I like to balance the seriousness and the humor in it. So I hope you all notice that.
Okay, let's
not beat around the bush any longer.
Chapter 1. From the story, there was only darkness. Every corner and orifice of the empty-minded space was shrouded in black. Not a soul in sight, all but a multitude had escaped, now corrupted by the dark taint of the land. The world belonged to somebody. His identity was known only to the spirits who had wrested the shadow's pollution. But even then, those spirits alone could not purge the evil from this land. But it was on this very day that a new soul would enter this world. One who would not only learn the ways of lifestyles of many people on the land, but one who would save the world from the visage of evil. All of a sudden, a twinkle shone through the darkness of this cavern. It faded for a second, then exploded into a supernova of light. It filled the entire volume of the cavern with a heavy illumination which might have been blinded all in eyeshot had there been anyone around. From the core of the ball of light, something began to take form. As it continued to shape itself, the mass became what appeared to be a person. Curled up in the vertical fetal position, the human-like shape began hovering towards the ground with the light. As it descended, the shape gradually began to rise into an uptight, floating position. When at last the figure and the ball of light were at a small distance above ground, floating in unison, the figure's shadow lifted, revealing its identity. It was a girl, roughly in her teenage years, clad in a white sleeveless belly shirt and sweatpants, with her short brown hair and a ponytail. Floating inches above the ground, she scanned the area, light amber eyes wide with fear. She felt as if she knew this place wasn't supposed to be as it was now. But quicker than she could react, a low string of inhuman jeering started ringing in. Spinning round, she saw it all around her. The darkness was beginning to close in. Creatures of all shapes and sizes looming over her with bright red eyes, cackling, moaning, and groaning in a horrifying, swelling cacophony. The poor girl was already shaken in fear. She was all alone, no other human around to come to her rescue. The monsters came in dangerously close, completely enveloping her in her light. She was fairly certain that the aura of light she was floating in wouldn't save her. But suddenly her fear became channeling into an adrenaline. Concentrating, she curled up into a ball again, focusing all her energy into her core, the light around her entering her tiny body. Deep down, she could feel every cell of her body being supercharged as if she was getting stronger by every second that passed. Just as the darkness completely engulfed her, it happened. The girl flipped back into an upright floating position, throwing her arms out at either side of her. As she did, the aura of light re-emerged, exploding around her from all sides. The abhorrences around her squealed and screeched in agony, thrown completely back from the shock wave of brightness that had collided with them. Defeated, they flew back into the blackness in pain and terror, their squeals echoing off into nothing. Arms falling back to her side, the girl touched the ground at last. Her hair was now hanging low, her entire supply of energy drained from the attack. Panting weakly, she fell to her knees, the light around her gradually fading. She tried to look around, but her vision was blurring fast. But as she fell to the ground, she caught a glimpse of something approaching her. It looked like a group of people, but unlike the monsters that had tried to hurt her, these looked like actual humans. The girl blacked out momentarily, and when she came to, she was on her back, a group of people looking down at her. Her aura of light nearly gone. She managed to utter one last plea. "Help me, please," before falling unconscious. Minutes later, still in an unconscious state, the girl felt herself being carried away. She couldn't think or open her eyes, even a crack to see, as her energy was completely drained. But still breathing, she thought she could hear the people talking. In fact, they were speaking to her. Man, this chick must have taken a heavy load, especially after facing those things. I think she might have conked herself out, the first of the group spoke. He had a prepubescent, slightly raspy voice. Another part of the group blasted him. No duh, Lord Fat, what tipped you off? The fact that she's asleep now, or the fact that she fainted right before we could find out how she got here? The second person had an annoying Bostonian accent and was quite fast-talking. The two argued on until the next person in the group cut in, a teenage girl, sounding younger for her age. Both of you cut it out. You think any of us had this in our agendas for today? No. What's important is we found her just before those monsters got her. We gotta help her. The first voice spoken. Tomo's got a point. If we just leave Sleepyhead out here, she'll get eaten. But where we even take her? Well, hey, I'll take her. I always want a chick from my own. The Bostonian voice butted in. A smack could be heard as he was slapped in the back of the head by the next in line of the group. Another girl, one with a dreamy, spaced-out voice with a small southern accent. Why you gotta be so full of yourself, Jimmy? It's like your first instinct is to get in bed with every girl you meet, even if you're completely unconscious. But he might be right about someone for once. Light girl could be safer if we take her in. The next of the group delivered her insight. Sounded like a child in her preteen years. She can stay with us. Our little hideout's been untouched by those creatures, so it'll be perfect for her. We could all be roomies. The girl could then hear the entire group agreeing in unison. She could hear the rest of the people in the group along with the first four, but she couldn't make out what they sounded like. At last she fell completely unconscious. 2 hours
And
later...
now this is the part where I... Whoop.
You go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, there's a bit of lag.
Oh.
What was I just saying?
Now, I was about to say 2 hours later, but you did pick a good point to enter in, so what was you going to say?
I was going to say, this is the part of the story where I'd like to imagine how long it takes for all of you to figure out how many references to other media that there are I've written in there.
Howdy.
Hello, Adult Bloom.
How's it going?
It's going.
Hello there.
So,
We were in the middle of a fanfic.
Josh?
How's it going?
Josh, right? Josh.
This is,
I don't know, what do you guys think of it so far?
Yeah, it is Josh. Hey, man, what's up?
Intriguing.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, not much, just chilling. Pretty much.
That's good to hear. Yeah, guys, this is Joshua Law. This is the one who's going away tomorrow. So.
Yep.
Oh, you're leaving?
Oh.
Where's he going?
He said the Navy.
Boot camp.
Yep,
There's a what?
boot camp.
Oh wow. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Haven't you talked about that like last month? I think I heard you talking about that somewhere in that chat.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Wow.
We may have been talking about, in the future tense.
Future. Anyway, this story is interesting. Very interesting.
Well, thank you, Nightflower. I appreciate that comment.
I have a feeling that this story sounds like something that relates in very close relation to you in some way, shape, or form.
It's just
Wait,
Really?
This
Yes.
I'm the one who wrote it.
Wait,
Yes.
Chris? Dude,
Shadow.
yeah, I would have to agree with everybody here. It's pretty nice.
Like,
Thanks.
like Shadow, I would say this is probably something you felt maybe before birth and something around there. Just the feeling I'm getting.
I never heard somebody say that about it before.
When I listen to fanfics that are in this type of context, I pick it apart limb by limb, and I get things that are very deep in there.
I can see that.
Reminds me of the darkness, but
Yeah,
I should probably tell Gonzo.
No, go ahead.
we continue.
I should probably tell Gonzo if he wants to do voices for it. Oh, speaking of the devil, I was just saying if Gonzo wants to do it, and when he comes back.
I was trying to figure out what you were doing.
Oh, I was going to say, if you want to do voices for anybody, Gonzo, please, by all means. Not pressuring you or anything, but...
Well, send me whatever you want, and I'll do it. It all depends on what I. It all depends
No,
on
I'm just
how.
saying, if you...
Depends on what.
Huh? Oh, there's a bit of... The internet's a little shite, so, I'm kind of lagging a bit.
Let him do Flutter Rape. I want to hear him do Flutter Rape.
oh god.
Hey, what?
No, let Gonzo do
No,
Flutter Rape. Let Gonzo do Flutter Rape. I think he'd do mean Flutter Rape. And when I say mean, I mean
I
one
want to
word,
see
and I'll
if I
probably
can get a
call
hold
it,
of whoever can be a good Fluttershy impersonator and see what happens when I tinker around with the Sony Vegas audio plugs. The pitching.
I was meaning to say, voice is
Hey.
pretty the characters in this fan fiction, but that's not a bad idea
Oh
either.
well.
Not true.
Well, we're about to
So
continue
Fluttershy?
on anyway. Let's see.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Alright, let's
Still
go.
not a big surprise.
Hey, let's
Continue,
go on.
my friend. I'd love to hear the rest of this.
Same here. This is an interesting
Yeah,
story.
it's probably going to be a
Thank you.
while. 2 hours later, the girl felt herself on the ground again, something cool and moist pressed against her forehead. Slowly opening her eyes, shuddering weakly, her vision began returning to her, the blur in her eyes clearing up. When the girl found the strength to open her eyes all the way, the first sight that greeted her was another girl much younger than her, wearing a white t-shirt and pink skirt, light brown hair tied back into large, poofy pigtails. She had a wet, cold washcloth pressed against the girl's forehead. Well, when she had seen the girl was awakening, she smiled with a wide-open grin. "Morning, sleepyhead. You gave my friends and I a real scare, you know." The girl spoke of how she had found her lying in the darkness after driving off the monsters. For the first time, the girl spoke fully. What happened? "We saw you drive off those beasts before. It was like a mini Big Bang." The girl slowly recalled the events of her entrance into this world. "I did that?" She had risen to an upright sitting position, accepting some tea from the little girl. "Yeah, it looked like that light show knocked you out pretty bad, though. We brought you back here where you'd be safe." The two sipped their tea together, the big girl drinking it all in one shot. To her, it was incredibly delicious and invigorating. "Wow, looks like someone was thirsty." The little girl continued drinking her tea slowly before coming to a realization. "Oh, hey, I almost forgot. I never asked what your name was. Do you have one?" The girl
And here it begins.
sat there in silence for a good time, searching through her mind for whatever her identity was. She was still shaken, trying to recall the events that followed her arrival. But after digging deep, she was able to piece herself together. "Mimi. I'm Mimi."
Me, what? Say that again?
My name
Mimi.
is Mimi.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mimi. Okay, I thought it was like meanie, and I was like, what? She's mean or something?
Now, what are you thinking?
I
You're
don't
off.
know. The way he said it sounded like she was mean or something. I was like, what?
Wonder where I got
Like,
this
her name
idea.
is-
Oh well, that's next one.
Never mind. Just continue.
Well, that's a
Oh,
nice
you're-
name.
You're never gonna believe.
Well, that's a nice name. I'm Chiyo. It's very nice to meet you, Mimi. Wait.
Mimi Chiyo.
Wait.
I don't know.
Let me look back again. Let's see.
Onbus begins.
White t-shirt.
See, this is what I was telling about. See, yes, how many references there are to other media. You see?
Yes, let's see. White t-shirt, pink skirt, light brown hair tied in large poofy pigtails. Chiyo. Oh Lord, you got this from Azumanga Daioh, I bet.
Bingo.
What's his
Okay, let's see what's next. Feeling more confident, the girl named Mimi asked her awaker, "So there are others? And they all saved me too?" "Yeah, they're all my friends, and this place is where we all hang out. I could take you to see the others, but aren't you sure? Are you sure you're feeling good enough to do it?" Mimi stood up slowly and stretched. "I think I'll be alright. I'll just follow you." The girl named Chiyo smiled again. "Great, let's go." And she took Mimi by the hand, tugging her off towards their exit. Mimi, still flustered, tried to keep up with the little girl. But then the door slid open again as another girl stepped into the room. Wearing, let's see, everybody see the notes. And try to think this through, okay? A yellow tank top, jean shorts, but what made her stand out the most was her hair. Medium length, bordering somewhere between black and dark brown, and with an impossible haircut. Several thick strands of hair sticking out like spikes at the end, resting right below her neck. When she saw that Chiyo had seemingly yanked poor Mimi from her resting place, she became very cross. Chiyo, why could you let the poor girl sleep? She's tired enough as it... Holy crap, she's actually alright? Typical Tomo. Always jumping the gun with her special brand of crazy. Mimi, this is Tomo. Tomo, this is Mimi. Tomo.
Tomo.
The two girls shook their hands and Tomo spoke again. Sorry for snapping. I'm really hyperactive all the time, so no hard feelings, right? No,
just take your time. Don't try to rush it through. It's no rush, though. Just don't try to go too fast.
I'm reading on to see if we can get any more hints. No, I don't think so. Great! The little sleeping beauty lives! Hallelujah! Tomo gave a little leap of joy before running out the door and down the hall, arms out by her sides and making noises like an airplane. I believe Azumanga Daioh again, maybe?
Yes.
Damn it!
You got it. I don't know why my imagination works. My imagination is kind of fucked up like that. I see all these characters like they are.
I see. Okay.
Oh?
Let's continue on. Mimi, completely taken aback at what she had just witnessed, asked little Chiyo for some info. Is she always that hyper? I don't mind, but I just don't want that Tomo to get her to hurt herself. Oh, don't worry. She never gets crazy enough to hurt herself, although she has steered me and the others into some troublesome situations. This earned a small gasp from Mimi, but Chiyo quickly reassured her. Oh, but don't worry, Mimi. None of us have been gravely injured by her antics. Taking Mimi by the hand once more, Chiyo let her out of the room, a little more gently now. The two entered a hall with small lanterns on each side, given sufficient illumination. Taken in the calm atmosphere, Mimi felt she could definitely fit in here. But both girls' states of minds were interrupted by a sudden explosion from the closest room. The entire structure shook before a dual set of crazed laughter started emanating from the room. Mimi could barely make out the shouting coming from within. Jesus, is there anything you two lunatics won't destroy? Pod roast! Get to the chopper! Just get out of here. It's going to take forever to clean this place up. Do I even want to know what the cause of that explosion was? Says, I guess, Mimi. It's a long story, Mimi. The two people that did it are on our side. Don't worry, but they got a couple of screws loose. As if on cue, the door to the shambled room flung open as two extraordinary beings ran down the hall. Both were differently colored, one bright red and orange, the other purple and white, but both appeared to be glowing brightly with explosive energy, cackling madly as they cartwheeled and tumbled out of sight. Unable to comprehend what had just flown in front of her, Mimi simply stood back, mouth agape and eyes wide, as a rather large teenage gentleman chased them out. He wasn't very happy. Yeah, that's right, scram! Go wreck someone else's room! That's when he turned around and noticed the two girls. Instantly, the frustration were replaced by interest. Well, hello there, Chiyo. Looks like Light Girl's all better now, eh? His voice sounded a little raspy and prepubescent. Chiyo giggled in a small voice. Yep, she just needed some bed rest, that's all. She came to the large man. She ran up to the large man, leaping into his arms as the two embraced into a big bear hug. Mimi's heart practically melted at the sight. Oh, you guys look so adorable like that. You siblings or something? The Chute chuckled, and the large man addressed the question. I wish. We're not related, but I took it upon myself to make Chiyo my soul sister. And Owen's my soul brother. It's even bigger than just plain old brother and sister. Oh, speaking of which, I forgot my manners. Actually, I didn't know I had them in the first place. The name's Owen. He stepped forward to shake Mimi's hand, and she found his grip was surprisingly strong, being incredibly portly and square. Besides that, he had short, spiky blonde hair and wore a large white t-shirt with a blue maple leaf embroidered all across the front, and shorts. Where's this character from? Any ideas?
I'm sure it won't be long before you figure it out.
Don't remember a character named Owen, but let's continue. I'm Mimi. Pleased to meet you, Owen. The boy named Owen laughed annoyingly. We're only just met for reals, and already I like this girl. Without warning, Owen scooped Mimi up and held her in a massive, near bone-crushing hug. Mimi could only squeak in panic at the sudden burst of painful affection. The hug lasted for several seconds before Chiyo stepped in. Owen, easy, she can't breathe! Realizing this, Owen promptly released poor Mimi. Oops, sorry, she said innocently. Taking in several deep breaths to refill her severely deflated lungs, Mimi squeaked, It's okay, I'm not hurt. Well, now that we made nice with each other, do you want to continue, Mimi? Chiyo asked. Yes, I still want to see who else saved me. The trio continued down the rest of the hallway until finally reaching a set of double doors. Chiyo stopped and faced the others two suddenly. Are you sure you're ready, Mimi? I feel like you might be better off resting a little more before we need the others. I'm positive, Chiyo. I just wanted to see who rescued me from certain death. Well, I should warn you, Tomo's not the only one who could be excitable. Just as she said, the double doors burst open, sending Chiyo flying back onto her behind. A skinny, well-built man strode in, looking rather confident. His bright red winter cap fit snugly over his head, matching his bright red shirt and brown pants. Yo, shorty, she up yet? The man's voice had a heady Bostonian accent. It was quite fast. Oh, wait, right on time. What's up there, babes? Both Chiyo and Owen threw disgusted looks his way. Poor Mimi had no clue how to respond, if she should be mildly flattered or appalled. Name's Jimmy, sweetheart. Fastest thing alive. I'm a genuine force of nature, and ain't nobody gonna mess with me. Flexing almost every word, Jimmy was practically showboating off to Mimi. Now she was positively disgusted. Sounds sort of like Scout.
I'm not even winded.
Hey, yo, what's up?
Yo, what's up?
Anyways.
What was the deal?
I'm guessing, yeah. Anyways.
There's circles around you.
That's when Tomo re-entered, giving Jimmy a well-needed slap across the back of the head. Yeah, keep that dream alive, lover boy. Helping Chiyo back on her feet, she turned back to Mimi. I can see you've met Jimmy. He's the resident idiot of the group. Jimmy glared at Tomo, but both turned back to the trio, offering to lead him outside. The group finally set a foot outside the building, where Mimi was finally able to see the rest of the land. The sky was colored a hazy red dusk, scattered clouds. A small wind was blowing through the area, catching a hanging set of wind chimes in the gust, while the porch they were standing on was dimly lit by two large lanterns. The building itself pretty much resembled a summer house, where Chiyo stated belonged to her. Wow, it sure is so pretty out here, but so dark. Quite a mix. Excuse me. I think you'll definitely get used to it, Mimi, since it's almost always like this. Only the mornings are the brightest, Chiyo chirped in. Yes, like we need a flashlight just to find a path during the day, Owen added. Mimi's happy look then dropped. Her mind suddenly recalled her entrance into this world, how she felt like she knew this place wasn't supposed to be the way it was, but she perked up again before the others could notice her discomfort. So, are you all that saved me? You're very nice people, but I feel like I've heard more of you when you're carrying me away. Oh no, there's more. We're not the only ones who didn't want you to die, Tomo answered. Gotta warn you there, babe, Tomo glared at Jimmy, fist raised. Mimi. Oh, and me and, well, you'll see, are the only guys, so I hope you don't mind most of our group being girls. Oh no, it's fine. When I grew up, there weren't many guys there either, so it doesn't faze me. The rest of the group relaxed, before Chiyo suddenly dashed towards the side of the house. Then I think you'll love meeting the next person. Amy looked back at the others, Owen shrugging in confusion. Moments later, Chiyo came running back, holding the hand of another girl who was laughing and struggling to keep up. All right, Chiyo, I'm coming. When Chiyo reached the others, that's when the new girl first saw Mimi. The new girl's outfit were interesting, to say the least. She was clad in a black and red tennis uniform and skirt with bright reddish-brown hair and sneakers. Both of them exchanged an interesting glance before Chiyo once again chirped in. Mimi, this is Sora. Sora, this is Mimi. Sora's been with us for the longest time, so we sort of made her our makeshift leader. Wild guess. Digimon. What?
Oh, what? You dropped out because my internet is shite. What's going on?
I'm going to take a wild guess to where this Sora came from.
And
Digimon.
he is correct.
You were going after her tennis look. You were going after the tennis look from season 2. I remember. Sadly, I do.
Oh, somebody's been studying their anime a lot more charter than I thought they would be.
I still don't know Owen.
Oh.
I still don't know Owen. Jimmy sounds like he's dressed as a scout from TF2. And probably sounding like him, too.
He probably is. Not even
Probably. Maybe.
Yes.
Sora was the first to speak between her and Mimi. It's very nice to meet you, Mimi, and I think you look very pretty. That resulted in an instant beet red blush from Mimi. Thank you. So, are you the one who found me first? Well, I was the first who saw you drive those shadow monsters away, and I was amazed that you were capable of such a thing, but when I saw you starting to faint, that's when I got worried. The others were with me, so I had them bring you here to our little sanctuary, so we're all very relieved that you're alright. Mimi giggled in response. Thanks, guys. You're turning out to be some of the best friends I've ever met. The rest of the group complimented her, flattered by her kindness. A few more kind words were said before Mimi noticed somebody, sitting out in the field in front of the house. Who's that over there? She began running towards the figure, the others following suit. When she was close enough, Mimi stood before the seated figure, who appeared to be drawing something. The girl was wearing a purple shirt, white shorts, very long black hair that reached down to her lower back. Girl was also incredibly well endowed, which made Mimi do her best not to notice so as to not embarrass the girl. Let's continue on. Let's see which one this is.
Yeah, I can't wait till you figure out who that is.
The others stood a good distance away from the two, observing the interactions between Mimi and the girl. We were doing a fanfic. Their only conversations were done in whispering. How do you think she'll do? Tomo whispered to Sora. I don't know, Mimi's very friendly, but I'm not sure that'll be enough to break through to our friend here. I'll tell you what, I'll definitely get to that chick. Heck, if her rat got any bigger, we all be in the shade. Ow! Why is everybody hitting me? Jimmy's arrogance was quickly shut up as the observation continued. Oh, what? Busy. Random ass people don't want to deal with you. Nothing personal, I just can't deal with you. Let's see. Mimi sat down in front of the girl quietly. She looked up from her drawing, a mildly surprised look on her face, then resumed drawing. Mimi decided to try to talk to her in the hopes of breaking through her shyness. Hello there, you seem like a very nice girl. Nothing. When Mimi looked down at the girl's paper, she saw what she was drawing. Herself, the girl, hugging a very large cat. Mimi found it rather cute. That's a very nice picture you're drawing there. I like animals too. Still nothing but silence from the girl. Mimi decided to be best that she left the girl alone. She didn't want to come off as trying to get her to talk. Well, I'm gonna go now. I think your picture will turn out very nicely. As she started back to the house, there came a voice that suddenly surprised everyone right and well. Nobody ever talked to me like that without getting up in my face, the girl talked in a proud but shy voice. Mimi spun back, the rest of the group gasped in thrilled surprise. Sword said to herself, "My God, she did it!" Calmly extending a hand to the girl, Mimi helped her to her feet, her picture in hand. It was then that Mimi noticed the girl was incredibly tall, standing side by side. Mimi's head just barely reached the girl's shoulder. Regardless, they went hand in hand together back to the house, where the rest of the group appeared before them, all equally impressed. Chiyo said to Mimi, "No one's been able to break through Miss Sekaki like that before."
There you are.
Another Azumanga Daioh character. I still remember the one episode I ended up seeing.
Yes, I'm hoping this is not seeming too much of... I don't know, I hope you're not feeling this is too much of a mashup and less of a fanfic.
Well, so far it's more of a complete mix with all that. And it does seem to have some familiar elements, yes. The girl named Sekaki blushed happily.
Let's hope I'm not messing up too much shit and making it inclearable.
I've done something like this. A little bit strange. The girl named Sekaki blushed happily. Sora was just as impressed with little Mimi. "You're really something, Mimi. I never thought someone like you would come around and change my friends like this. You just earned a valuable best friend in me." Mimi blushed, thankful for being accepted by this group. But Tomo, being the hyperactive as he was, gave a small reminder to us all. "Hold the phone, guys. She may be a real sweet girl, but she hasn't been canonized yet. It's group protocol, Zora." "Canonized?" Mimi said with a certain amount of dread. "Wait, canonized? I hope we're not dealing with what I think we're dealing with. Are we?"
What were you thinking?
I'll be right back with that thought.
Aww.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Gonzo, would you like
I really don't think this is much... really don't think this is less of a fanfic and more of a mashup. Do you, Nightflower?
Nah, I'm liking it. The thing is, like, I don't watch as much more anime as Gonzo does, so I don't really know what characters are coming from where. But along the side of a story, this sounds like a very nice story.
Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't seen Azumanga die in like years, so I don't really know. I don't really know what's wrong with it. Very fanfic to me.
Switch a chair, nice drink, some cherry Coca-Cola.
Awesome sound. The world is now complete. Some cherry Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Now, if you would be so kind as to continue the topic.
Yes, I will. Oh, come on, Tomo. She's shown that she could change us like so. Is it really necessary this time? Tomo gave Sora a stern look, as if to say, "You're our leader, start acting like one." Sora sighed, obviously not wanting to impose too much on your friend. "Fine, we'll go through it. Sorry, Mimi, we all have to go through it, and now it's your turn." "Okay. I can do this." Mimi kept her courage strong, following Sora in the other respect to the house. Upon returning, they were greeted by another new face. The girl had long hair similar to Miss Sekaki's, only much shorter, reaching down to below her neck. Wearing only her PJs, she asked the only question in her head in a light southern accent. "What I miss, guys?" "Quite a lot, Osaka."
Wait,
Well, looks like we got a few characters stuck in Azumanga Daioh's world. We got Osaka here.
What can I say? What can I say? It's stuck to me, and it's heavily. I don't know what to say.
Well, I did some crossovers
what can I
before.
say?
I can show one that I can show one later on that was kind of rushly written.
What can I say? I don't know what to say.
Quite a lot, Osaka. No doubt you remember Light Girl here. Her name's Mimi. Owen addressed the girl named Osaka about their little friend. The look on Osaka's face then went from a puzzled frown to a wide-mouthed, goofy grin. "That's a real nice name. I think you'll fit in just fine with us, Mimi." The way Osaka spoke intrigued Mimi. this other aspect is intermixed with a slow, dreamy-like voice. Even the way Osaka moved around was the same, slowly walking towards the group, as if sleepwalking, with the same grin and big-eyed stare. Joining Mimi's side, everyone ventured towards the entrance of the house, but as Sora set one foot through the doorframe, another explosion inside caught her off guard. Mimi quickly pulled her back out in instinct, as a pile of rubber and debris fell in front of the door. Almost immediately, Owen flew into a rage. Damn it, don't those two ever give up on trying to break things? On cue, the two energetic beings Mimi has seen before jumped out from behind the rubble, laughing their heads off. At last, she could get a clear view of them. Both beings were human, but as she remembered, they were glowing with some sort of explosive energy. The one on the left was colored red and orange, the other one, right, purple and violet. The latter had a pretty yellow bow on her head, and breasts clearly labeled her as the former's female's counterpart. But both stared at the same googly eyes, flaming heads, and toothy grins.
I have a feeling that these are twin. Wait a second.
Let's continue on. With everyone else heavily shaken, Sora attempted to introduce Mimi to the duo of firebugs in front of them. Well, Mimi, this is Splosion Man, and this is his wife, Miss Splosion Man. Never heard of them before.
Oh, I know. They are from something, but I am not saying anything.
Let's continue on. Those things actually have names. Mimi was shuddering from head to toe, afraid of what the two maniacs below her would blow up next. Those were the names that were apparently wanted us to call them by, so we just stuck with it. Porterhouse! Splosion Man cried out without warning, still baffled. What? Sorry. Still baffled, Mimi. Are you okay?
He's only
I think he's having a seizure.
Oh shoot, can I join you?
Still baffled, Mimi asked, does he always do that, screaming out random names of me and acting like a lunatic? I'm afraid so. Same thing with mixed excerpt. Her thing is pop culture references. Sora answered, hearing this, Miss Splosion Man follows suit. Boys, shoes, clothes, who got it? Nobody commented on that, instead letting Owen stay behind but clear the wreckage blocking the entrance. Hey, I may be fat, but I got a ton of muscle underneath. Now that I think about it, Total Drama Island, Owen.
Oh.
Now I think about it.
Oh.
Let's go on. He said with a wink that Mimi and the others were off. As they near an open field, Sora announced how Mimi's canonization worked. Well, since our two demolition experts managed to block our only entrance, the main part of your canonization will have to wait. But now this is the perfect opportunity for a little race. Owen shouldn't be long in clearing the debris, so this should be a nice little time filler. Let's see how fast you can run. Well, if I certainly ran a whole block where I came from, so this shouldn't be anything new. Oh, well then you, my friend, have obviously never been in a race with Sekaki here. Sekaki stepped to Mimi's side, getting into the steady stance. She'd been able to outrun all of us, even me, so for the first part of your canonization, you'll be racing Miss Sekaki around this huge field. Both girls stood at the starting line right after the most part of the field. The others, excluding Sora, who was to judge the contest, stood by the side, cheering both girls on. Standing in front of the two contestants, Sora raised a hand. Alright, I want a good clean race. No shoving or throwing each other off track, no dirty tactics, and most of all, no shortcuts. Are you two ready? Both nodded, getting ready into a ready stance. Alright then. Go! In that second, Sekaki and Mimi jolted forward, both neck and neck, running down the path at their own breakneck speeds. Their hair flowed elegantly behind them, like flags in the wind. The onlookers clapped and cheered intensively, unsure of which racer to root for. Sora just stood back, watching in shame as poor Mimi started to lose ground against Sekaki. Towards the halfway mark, Mimi was already aching. Every muscle in her body was screaming in pain as she struggled to keep up with her opponent, who wasn't even breaking a sweat. Panting heavily, she knew she couldn't give up. She was strong, and she wouldn't ever back down from a challenge, no matter the odds. Looking back up from the ground, Mimi pushed herself further, catching up with Sekaki again. She looked back to see her gaining fast and maintained her already fast speed. The two became neck and neck again, close to the halfway mark of the path. Every ounce of Mimi's strength was being pumped dry as she struggled to keep up with Sekaki, even as she threw everything she got into the open, running faster than she had ever ran before. Even Sekaki cranked the speed up, both vying for first place. Adrenaline was surging through Mimi's veins as she and Sekaki reached the uppermost part of the field. But it was more than that. She felt the light had been enveloped her. Sorry. Let me get a drink first. I'm slipping.
Take your time.
She felt the light that had enveloped her before course through her veins, giving her strength beyond her wildest thoughts. In a split second, Mimi began to pass Sekaki, her little feet flying across the dirt faster than ever before. But it wasn't just that. The ground beneath her was lighting up, a trail of light forming under her. When Sekaki looked down on Mimi, she was nearly taken aback by her competitor's sudden burst of speed. But the biggest shock, not only to Sekaki but to the spectators, was the fact that she was now becoming bathed in light as she ran. As her form became more streamlined, Mimi's top speed went way beyond her maximum. She was now blazing down the path as a comet of light, illuminating the entire area around her. In a split flash, Mimi had crossed the finish line, panting heavily, but not even breaking a sweat. As she stood upright to stretch, the spectators all flew into uproarious applause, Sora included. All were awestruck by little Mimi's feat, and when Sekaki crossed the finish line herself, Mimi patted her on the back before Sekaki said, through the regaining breaths, "You really blew me away there, Mimi. Maybe we can race more often." Mimi smiled before Sora rejoined her. "Well, that's one test I certainly shouldn't have to underestimate you in. How did you learn to do that?" I don't know. I was doing all I could to keep up with Sekaki, and all of a sudden I felt this little ball of light glow inside me, and it grew so much that I felt like I could run faster than anything in the world. It felt like I was all-powerful in a way. No, sorry. Excuse me. It felt like I was all-powerful in a way. But hey, you cheated. Sora said you wasn't supposed to take any damn shortcuts, Jimmy jumped in, reminding all the rules, but Sora simply shrugged it off. I'll allow it. I didn't see her cut through the feeling anyway. She's clean. Jimmy gawked at Sora's verdict, looking back at Mimi, then back at Sora. Nothing else was said until a call from Owen signified that he had cleared the rubble. Sora and Mimi nodded at each other, joining the others in returning to the house. On the way back, everybody was still crowding over Mimi, over her amazing feat of light power. She was incredibly happy with all this new attention she was now getting, but was unsure of how to return that love. But as they were about to enter the house, Mimi's eyes fell upon the most beautiful artifact she has ever seen in her life. Buried deep within a rock was an elegant sword. The hilt and blade were made of pure bright silver, a bright red ruby encrusted into the hilt, and jagged gilded edges on the side of the hilt. Instantly, Mimi wanted to know more, and I believe we got a hold of the sword and the stone. What's that? She asked Sora, pointing to the sword. Well, that we found it stuck in the rock when we brought you here. It's really weird, though. None of us will be able to pull it off, not even Owen. And he's the strongest of all of us. Slight remembrance then crossed Mimi's mind. Something about the sword seemed very familiar, and she wanted to know more. Well, maybe I can try pulling it out? Maybe later, Mimi. Right now, we still need to get through your canonization. Finally, setting foot back into the house, Mimi and the group progressed back to the hills into a quaint room that resembled a dojo. An incense stick burned brightly, sending wafts of fragrance into the air. A pair of lights illuminated the dojo floor, tatami tiles gleaming brightly. Stepping into the large circle arena in the middle of the room before everyone else was Tomo, who looked ready for battle. Before Mimi can enter the ring, Sora held her back, explaining the next step. Well, Mimi, here we are at the second half of your initiation, or should I say your actual canonization. You'll be facing Tomo and I, mano a mano, one after the other. I'd have you face Sekaki Shinsee's one of the combatants as well, but I think that race that brought you a free pass against herself. Also, she's probably dead tired from that race. The thought of combat worried Mimi. Unbeknownst to her new friends, she had trained in numerous martial arts, and certainly wasn't afraid to unleash any part of them, but she didn't want to hurt her friends regardless. She was ready to fight. Stepping onto her side of the ring, facing Tomo, Sora once again stood by the sides, acting as referee, knowing she would be next to face Mimi. The others stood by as spectators, watching as Mimi and Tomo circled each other, the former trembling and slightly in preparation for what's to come. Tomo, energetic as ever, jumped into a heavy battle stance before proclaiming, "I'm about to turn up the heat on your little bubbly attitude, and shut up about the bad pun." Right. Her hands began to glow and pulsate with energy as she waved around him in a slow concentration motion. From her hands' motions, there formed a fiery Japanese character. Secret technique! Flame dancing! In an instant, Tomo was now twirling about. Flames literally spinning and dancing with her with every hand motion. She then shot her hands out in front of her before pulling them back, clenching them into fists and then into a prayer formation. Sure enough, a ball of fire roughly the size of her hand formed within her palm. Hold on. Whew. Excuse me. With all her might, Tomo hurled a fireball straight at Mimi, who had barely enough time to leap out of his trajectory. But as she got back to her feet, she was forced to dodge a second fireball that whizzed right by her head. "Keep dancing, like girl, I can get this up all night," Tomo declared, now practically showboating to the crowd by firing off another fireball from the tip of her thumb whilst admiring herself in a mirror. Wow, looks like she's a firebender.
No, not that much. No. I wouldn't be that stupid.
What, it's not from Avatar or something else?
Nope, not Avatar. I never really liked that show to begin with.
Oh.
Okay, then.
Different strokes for different folks, I guess. Poor Mimi found herself jumping all over the arena floor, desperately trying to avoid getting singed by Tomo's flame barrage. Soon herself, she found herself in a corner, the spectators jeering at her misfortune, all but one, Jimmy. "Alright, Tomo, suck it to her! Make it a light girl barbecue! Ow! Again with a hitting!" This time it was Owen who slapped it up against the head. But Tomo, in her energy-driven state, was all but happier to end it. Focusing on her energy into the palm of her hand, she created a mighty fireball bigger than the size of her head. Raising it up, Mimi could even see the flames in the cores of her eyes as a huge smile formed across her face. She was now completely helpless. Say your prayers to the Mimi before you're about to be a shish kebab. Arching back, Tomo let her massive projectile fly with a mighty throw. Mimi could only barely brace herself, shielding her face with her hands moments before the flames hit her. When the smoke cleared, everyone, including Tomo, was left staring in disbelief. Not only had Mimi survived the blast, a massive fireball was now being clutched in her hands. Her hands were encased with two translucent orbs of light, which allowed her to grasp the fireball as if it were light as a feather. It took Mimi a moment to realize what was going on, but then with an equally wicked smile, she wound herself up and threw the ball back against Tomo, who just barely dodged its trajectory. Brushing herself off, Tomo was not ready to admit any defeat. "You're quite the trickster, aren't you? I admire that." And she began to unleash another barrage of fireballs. The crowd gasped, but Mimi kept them cheering on by expertly catching every single projectile and tossing them back to the maker. After several rounds, one good deflection sent the ball of flame into the right path, singeing Tomo across the leg. Yelping in pain, she clutched the spot where she was hit, cringing. This resulted in more spurring from the crowd, Come on, man, show her you got a pair. Oh, wait, you got a girl, Osaka went. Keep it up, Mimi. She's got more tricks up her sleeve, Chiyo warned. And she was right. Prepping herself back up, Tomo, still full to the brim of adrenaline, faced Mimi once again, a fresh burn mark running down her leg. I'll be damned, Memes. You actually hit me. Well, let's see how you handle this. Go, Flame Jet. She now threw her hands in front of her, forming a triangle with her pointer fingers and thumbs. A tiny ball of fire formed in between, which is shot out as a long jet of fire. As when Mimi revealed another aspect about herself, incredibly agile. She only gracefully dodged the flame jet's every movement, even when it whipped across the floor, trying to tie her up. As Mimi's gymnastic dodging continued, Sora watched in wonder, thinking to herself about the display. Good God, she's something else. She seemed like just a little miracle when I found her, but now she's becoming more. Maybe she could be the one that could save this world. But then a deeper voice played in her head, one that sounded most inhuman. Unbeknownst to everyone but herself, Sora was being watched by dark forces much more powerful than her, or any of her friends. The voice spoke in a sultry, venomous female, addressing Sora directly. Maybe you've forgotten about the 4 people that easily conquered this realm, one of them being me. Now you'll face that girl next, and you'll prove to her who the superior one is. Statement finished, Sora's pupils flashed red. Possessed. And as Tomo's flame jet at last died down, her energy nearly drained. Mimi threw her ponytail back, ready for whatever Tomo was going to throw next. She was right to do so. You're proving to be something else, Memes, but I'm not ready to quit now, so let's end this. Mighty Flame Tornado! Standing back up, Tomo threw her hands out by her sides, both encased in orbs of fire. Very slowly, she began to spin around. Trails of fire formed with every motion of her hands. Gradually, she began to spin faster and faster, becoming enveloped in the slow-forming vortex around her. A joyous cackle echoed from the center, and as last, the massive tornado of fire filled the room, causing all but Mimi to flee from the room. Chiyo was terrified, knowing that Tomo only pulled this sort of move when she was in a most desperate situation. Owen held her close, trying to calm her down. Mimi's got to stop her, or else this whole house burn to the ground. Easy, Chiyo, easy. I know Mimi can do it, and I know she will, Sora said, trying to instill one last bit of hope into her people. Back in the dojo, the light from every solitary lander had been sucked into the ground glowing flame vortex, making it only as the source of light in the entire room. Mimi was left standing there before the twister, Tomo's power-hungry laughter echoing from within the center of it. What's wrong, Mimi? Afraid to fight now? Just look at me. I can feel like I can burn the whole place down. Just try to stop me. Long entrails of fire whipped out from the vortex, lashing out at Mimi's like vicious serpents. That's when she knew she had to act fast to stop the rising inferno. Without warning, the fiery tornado began to move, advancing on her. She had just enough time to sidestep out of harm's way, but now found herself being chased around the room by the swirling inferno. Every other second it came closer to catching her in its wake of hot destruction. The room was slowly being set ablaze with every wasted second. Mimi knew she had to act. Once again she found herself caught in a corner, with the menacing tornado before her. Another victorious cackle from Tomo echoed from his side. Sayonara, little girl. But this is exactly what Mimi was waiting for. Just as the flame vortex closed in on her, another whip of fire shot out from towards her. With the right timing, Mimi was able to grab it, keeping a tight grip on it. Huh? You're not supposed to do that! Tomo began to struggle within the tornado, trying to regain control of her creation. But Mimi held strong, holding the fiery trail in her hands, and beginning to swing in the opposite direction it was spinning. Even Mimi couldn't believe she was doing this, lifting the tornado off its center of its balance and weaving it around in a clenched fist. Soon enough, everyone else who had escaped the room was in pure astonishment. Mimi was swinging a tornado made of pure fire around the room. From inside the tornado, Tomo was screaming her crazed head off. Ah, let me go, be, please! I promise I'll only leave you with a sunburn! But Mimi was not listening to her meaningless words for 1 second. With one last wind-up, Mimi let out a strained cry of power, holding the tail of the tornado in her fists with all her might and whipping it out in front of her, sending a colossal pillar of flames flying out, burning right through the roof of the room, and releasing one last prolonged defeat wail from Tomo. When at last the smoke cleared and all the light in the arena was restored, Sora and the others found it safer to re-enter. What they saw sent them into one last shock. Standing face to face with Mimi was Tomo, her entire body charred and burnt. Whimpering heavily and her pep and energy completely sucked dry, she managed to utter one last cry. Mommy, I don't feel so good at all. She fell to the arena floor, unconscious but still breathing. I need a break from this. I'll just take a pause from here and continue this tomorrow.
Alrighty then.
Yay. That was awesome.
But you know what? In order for me to distract myself from the misery that everybody has pretty much put me into, I'd say we would continue on with a few more paragraphs, maybe. See how far we can go for Inverted Shadows fanfic Shadowside.
Don't pressure yourself. No rush, really.
I'm hoping this will help me feel a little better about my situation.
It's not that bad of a situation.
I know, but it feels like I'm not trying to use my fame or anything. I just thought I was nice enough to actually do you free publicity. Couldn't you do something for me? After all I've done for you?
I mean, I have. Haven't I done so?
Say what?
I've done that for you, haven't I, Gonzo?
Oh, you did plenty of that, and I've done it, and we pretty much give ourselves trade-offs.
Yeah.
And I can't stop doing things for you, Gonzo.
Oh, nice.
I just love
Whole lot.
I just love it. I'm sorry, but
You guys, you artists, you got pretty much some good talent on you. And I'm hoping that at least one of these days I'll probably toss up an idea for you guys. For like an artistic challenge like I've done for a little while.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it would be quite, what's it called? Good for you to do reading. It's gonna be fun.
Alright, how about we continue on? And let's do a little quick recap first off. We ended up starting off with a small little backstory on how Inverted Shadow was pretty much into the spiritual side of things. We also got a hold of what is a strange beginning. We have pretty much a brown-haired young girl named Mimi appearing in the middle of the woods, but all of a sudden surrounded, and I mean surrounded. I'm gonna shut this TV off. I'm not gonna watch that. Pretty much surrounded by some strange foreign monsters, but in comes a group of friends, a few random characters that Inverted has known through some of the media. They came in and helped out poor Mimi. 3 characters from Azumanga Daioh, 1 character from Total Drama Island, 1 character from Digimon. I believe you modeled a character out of Scout from Team Fortress 2.
That is correct.
And the Splosion people, I'm trying to figure the hell out what the hell it is.
I like them.
Trollfic, oh come on.
What?
At least I put effort into it.
Yeah, well, I was trying to figure out what the hell it was. What the hell they were about.
Look at it. Look at the chat. It asks Zactabroni.
Blew up? Maybe.
Trollfic? No, it's not a trollfic. Sweet Apple Massacre was the trollfic. This here had inspiration. And it may have some random characters, but it's got a great storyline so far.
Oh.
Thank you,
And the
sir.
storyline, lastly left off, Mimi pretty much is dealing with the canonization, as she pretty much did two challenges. Racing around with Miss Sekaki from Azumanga, Daioh, and then fighting Tomo from the same show. Even though Tomo has firebending capabilities, that's probably different from Avatar. I guess I can't remember what from the life of me is some other firebending. I can't. Sorry. And according to the story, Sora is about to step up to the plate.
Yes.
And now we shall continue. A brief silence followed suit before a raucous applause broke from the crowd. They were all totally blown away by Mimi's stellar fighting performance, and even little Mimi was amazed at how she had done such a thing. Back in her mind, Sora was bursting with joy. My God, she might actually be the one that can help us. We're saved! But then, a dark female voice rang out from inside her head. Hey, cool it, sweetheart. You're up next. Now show her what true power really is. Oh, I got the link to the figure. Sorry. Excuse me?
Fan fiction.
Yes,
Thank you.
fanfiction.net. I posted some of the stuff there. Alright. Sora then joined Mimi in the ring, the others resuming spectating posts. Wielding a bow staff, she was already well prepared to face Mimi. Twirling it around in her fingers, she was not taking no for an answer to her challenge. Alright, Mimi. You're pretty much so Tomo, you're no joke. But let's see how you fare against me. Excuse me. Without so much as a moment of preparation, Sora came out swinging. Mimi just barely dodging the staff in the nick of
I'm
time.
sorry. Thank you.
What the hell?
What the?
Thank you.
Reiko.
What was?
Who the hell was that?
My bad. Sorry.
Without so much as a moment of preparation, Sora came out swinging. Mimi just barely dodged the staff in the nick of time. But she had no time to rest. Several more swings came her way, Sora intent on making her submit. No hard feelings, memes. I'm just trying to put up a good fight for you, unlike Tomo. As the fracas continued, the others would split down the middle on which girl to root for. Get her, Mimi! You're just as strong as she is! Keep fighting! Chiyo cheered. Come on, Sora! You've been around longer than she has, so you got a better chance at beating her ass! Jimmy decided to act like a hard-headed dunce as usual, where he was immediately greeted by his usual slap against the back of the head. He quickly resumed watching the match in silence. As the fight raged on, Sora was still swinging her staff good and hard towards Mimi. She was showing absolutely no signs of tiring down, nor was Mimi. She expertly dodged every one of Sora's attacks, even as her staff came dangerously close to cracking her skull. Oh, you're good, Mimi. Never thought I'd face someone who was as fast as I was, but you still don't have a chance. She swung her staff down to the floor in a low sweep, tripping up Mimi and sending her flying through the air. But Sora's advantage was short-lived. Mimi, in another amazing feat of acrobats, landed on the floor in a perfect handstand. When Sora took another frenzied swing with her staff, Mimi caught it with her feet, a move that shocked Sora greatly. As she struggled to regain control of her staff, Mimi took the opportunity to perform her own maneuver, foisting her end of the staff down, bringing the other end up, and clocking Sora square in the jaw. Staggering backwards, Sora was not as gleefully happy anymore. In fact, she felt a small anger growl escape her lips. A voice in her head spoke to her again. Are you just gonna let that girl and her fancy flashlights overpower you like that? Get back in there! Picking her staff up, Sora was now through playing around, and everyone, especially Mimi, could see that. Alright. So you want to bring out the bad girl in me? We can do that. She immediately began to swing her staff much harder and faster, twirling it deftly about at such a speed that Mimi was almost unable to dodge it as much as she has been able to. She also found that the more Sora missed, the more frustrated she grew. As her anger mounted, the voice in Sora's head continued to egg her on. You're really that worthless, aren't you? Maybe I should have picked the body of someone much stronger. Naturally, this further angered Sora, who attempted to take her rage out on Mimi, still dodging her every move with no effort. Ooh. Damn. Oh, come on. Hit her already. You're not even trying, you stupid girl. That last insult hit Sora where it hurts. With a clear audible growl, she shouted, "Hold still!" before thrusting her staff out in front of her, attempting to jab Mimi. What she found instead was her staff connecting and breaking a hole in the wall, wedging it within. Sekaki suddenly called out to Mimi by that point. "Mimi, watch yourself. We all know that Sora can get pretty angry, but this isn't like her." Mimi nodded at her before redirecting her attention to Sora, who was now trying to force her staff out of his jam. Mimi knew she had to act before Sora could even begin to swing. The two orbs of life were returned to her hands. As if acting on their own, they hovered close to Sora's staff, which suddenly began to wobble. Thinking on her own accord, Mimi moved her light-covered hands, and the staff began to jimmy its way out of the wall on its own. She found that she could move and bend the staff in any direction. She could move her hands in with this newfound telekinesis. With the new power in tow, Mimi decided to take it for an immediate test run. Pulling her hands back, the staff bended towards her, creaking. Sora had to let go due to being surprised by her own weapon being controlled by someone else, and was completely unprepared for when Mimi threw her hands out in front of her. An invisible life force whipped that staff out, slamming it hard to the side of Sora's skull. Once again, she was sent sprawling across the floor, clutching the spot where she had been whacked in wincing pain. The voice continued to berate her. "Oh, you cannot be serious. What have I done to get it through your head that you're better than Little Miss Flashlight here? Get back up!" Now further frustrated, Sora struggled to get back up. Panting laboriously, she reached for her staff again, a move that worried Mimi. She could tell now that something was not right with her friend, and as Sora threw another lazy swing, Mimi easily caught it, pleading with her while struggling to keep her from swinging the weapon again. "Sora, please, just stop and listen to me. I really don't want to hurt you again." After the last sentence, things immediately took a turn for the worse. Sora stopped fighting for the staff back and looked into Mimi's eyes. Her own eyes were completely metamorphosed, running blood red and deep with no remorse. Voice even sounded much more darker than before. "Well, that's a pity, because I certainly have the urge to hurt you real badly." "That's the spirit. Now let me show you how it's done." Spectators gasped. Chiyo and Tomo were the most horrified, since they had previously witnessed Sora reach a level of anger she had now, and they knew what would follow. "Tomo, I'm scared. I don't like it when Sora gets angry. That's when my friends get hurt." "It's okay, Chiyo. I know Mimi can beat her down, just like before." But Owen quickly shoved it off. "Oh, get off it, Tomo. Let me handle this." He held the shuddering girl in his arms, wiping a few stray tears from her cheeks. Shh, easy there, Chiyo. Nobody's gonna get hurt." He turned away and said to himself, "I hope." Hearing her own new friend say what she had said was enough for Mimi to let go of the staff, only for Sora to heave it across the room. Eyes still glimmering red, she spoke again. "But why use a dinky little weapon like that? Let's have some real fun." Still keeping her courage in check, Mimi dared to look down at Sora's hand. Something was now protruding from the skin. More so, something was sprouting out of the palm of her hand. Even though Sora was visibly straining, she still kept that gleefully wicked smile on her face. After a few seconds, a sharp bone-like appendage began to slither its way out of her palm. Slowly raising her arm high, the appendage slowly began to branch out and grow larger as the skin and muscle of her arm shriveled away and fell off, all while Sora laughed at a dark chuckle, her voice turning into more of a venomous low snarl. A minute passed before Mimi was left staring at a humongous, bloodied, bony blade-like appendage that lay in place of Sora's arm. As Mimi and the spectators looked at it in sheer disgust and terror, Sora began to speak like the voice in her head. They didn't know it yet, but a voice now taking over Sora, controlling her like a helpless puppet. "What's wrong, Mimi? Don't you recognize your best friend?" "Sora, please. I know this isn't you. You gotta fight it." At last the true shock of the matter came. "Who's Sora?" "She's gone, sweetheart. I'm Ophelia." Ophelia. If anybody could chime in.
Sorry. Feel ya.
You don't make
Not a
this.
word. I have no idea.
Let's continue on. "I knew the voice sounded familiar," Owen exclaimed. "Oh God, how did she get here? Why would she do this to our best friend?" Tomo shouted. Ophies and Sora? How did she do that?" Guys, who's Ophelia?" Mimi questioned. However, she got no answer.
Take it easy there.
Sorry, I'm just... Instead, she was greeted by a heavy swipe from her opponent's bone sword, catching her across the side of her body, knocking her clear across the room and leaving a deep gash. Clutching where she had been hit, Mimi looked up to see Sora looming over her. "Who am I? Oh, nobody. Just somebody that these losers forgot about long ago." She snarled at the rest of the group before continuing. "When they left my group and I behind long ago, I made a promise to myself to make them ever regret turning their back to me. But nobody loved me, not even in prison they gave life to me, so I was forced to find a house to live off until I was strong enough. And luck be a lady, your little lady friend Sora proved to be all that I ever needed." Mimi tried to take all this in. Her own friend, a leader of a group of outcasts, was the host of a force darker than anything she had ever encountered before. Too weak in that moment to get up, she couldn't stop Sora from striding over to her friends, bone sword at the ready. That was weird. She began to talk each of them down. "Oh, hey, Tomo. Crazy as ever, are you? Maybe your friends ought to have you stuck in a mental ward where you will be crazy you were crazy enough to have forgotten me. Hey, no fair. Only I can crack jokes like that." "And is that?" "It is the boy with the biggest motor mouth in the world. Jimmy, tell me, did you ever think to run your mouth about me at all?" "Hey, you're the one here who went freaking nuts when we didn't pay attention to you. Why would I want to remember you?" Her weapon came in close to his throat, releasing a terrified squeak. "I mean, good to see you again." "Osaka, still got your head in the clouds. I see. Hell, you're so ditzy you could be the moon if you stuck your head up there any farther." Osaka took it surprisingly well, simply looking up and saying, "I'd love to be up there in the sky. I like flying dreams." Sora shook her head, not wanting to lose any more of her words of Osaka's heavy-headed nature. "If it isn't Owen, the biggest whale I ever did see, still eating everything in plain sight I can see. You know, if you're gonna make fat jokes, you might as well look for another fat guy. They don't hurt me, you silly girl." "Oh, fine, go eat some more donuts, why don't you? Now, you two." She turned to Splosion Man and Ms. Splosion Man. But she couldn't come up with anything to say to them when insulted. "Fuck it, I got nothing. You're just both annoying." Naturally, both snarled at her, annoyingly, but still angrily. "And hey, Sekaki." Hearing her name, Sekaki looked up from staring at the ground. "How's your social life?" "What's your social life?" Sekaki simply gasped, but did manage to glare over her shy stature. What would you know about me and my friends? You hardly even know anything about us at this point, Ophelia, and I bet you don't even remember the one that made you possible. Unlike us. That stopped Sora dead in her tracks. Slowly turning around, everyone could see that she was red in the face, and not just from her glaring red eyes. Excuse me? What did you just say to me? You only need us to fill in that blank of what's left of your heart after he vanished. Face it, Ophelia. Ever since he left, you're nothing. Might as well look this up real quick. I'm gonna let that load. The last remark hit her where it really hurt. In an instant, Sora and Ophelia was breathing down Sekaki's neck, or would have if Sekaki were not so tall.
Damn.
Looks, according to the Google quiz search, Ophelia was in Hamlet.
Yeah, getting closer.
Let me see.
Fuck.
Oh. She is.
What?
Oh no, she is in Hamlet. Okay.
Yeah, but something tells me that she's in something else too.
Let me look it up right now.
You'll figure it out sometime. I don't know. But
Let's
yeah.
see.
Anyways.
Keep on reading. Oh,
Don't-
here she is. Ophelia in anime.
No. Not
Oh,
that.
she's from what's it
Don't you
called?
be spoiling anything, goddammit.
Claymore.
I don't know about it, so meh.
Yeah, don't spoil anything.
This one?
Hold up. Somebody might just bring it up. Somebody keep an eye on the chat in the live stream.
Alright,
Yes,
let us
sir.
keep going.
Where was I? Yes. Don't you dare bring him into this situation. All my pain, all my sorrow, and all my life going downhill. You all know full well that I attributed to his disappearance, and you have the gall to use that against me. You'll just be lucky I don't skin you alive in front of little Mimi there. She gave one final snore before redirecting her attention to the falling Mimi. As she went to go to finish the job, a small voice stopped her once more. You know, Ophelia, you're nothing but a big crybaby meanie. We tried to be friends with you and the other three, but after he left, you blamed all of us. Why don't you grow up already? Everyone in the room turned to the source to find Chiyo, who had run up to Sora/Ophelia, angry as all hell. A minute passed before anything happened. But then Sora turned around to face Chiyo. The biggest smile grew on her face as she looked down on her. Well, how can I forget little Chiyo? Did you shrink at all? You looked smaller last time I saw you, all those years ago. She knelt down at Chiyo's level, which immediately wiped away any confidence Chiyo may have had. What was that you said about me? A big crybaby that I should grow up? Chiyo started to back up in fear. Well, maybe I should show you what it means to grow up. As she started to run, Sora grabbed Chiyo by the arm, and she cried out in fear to Owen. Owen, don't let her hurt me! Hold still, you little brat! I'll make this quick for you! Raising her bone sword high, Sora had no hesitation in her possessive state to kill a girl like Chiyo. But from behind her, Mimi had seen everything and was suddenly filled with a vigorous anger, which was enough to give her the strength to get back up and stop her bleeding. Leave her alone, Ophelia, and get out of my friend. Who the hell?
Who the hell is that? What the?
Sister walked in. Just continue.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Leave her alone, Ophelia, and get out of my friend. They had nothing to do with this. Sora whipped around to look at Mimi, much to her surprise. But looking at Mimi, she did nothing more but smirk, tightening her grip on Chiyo. All does Mimi want big bad Ophi to let go of little Chiyo? Is little Chiyo gonna cry for her mommy or lord-ass brother to save her? Okay, now that hurt, Owen said. You don't scare me, little girl. You may have been accepted into this stupid little posse. But to me, you will remember it as the bitch that stole my friends. Now this little brat is gonna be the first to die. Who's next? She picked up Chiyo by the back of her shirt with the tip of her own sword as the crying girl wailed desperately. No! Put me down! Somebody save me! Put her down! Mimi had enough. Without thinking, she threw both her hands out, and as if on cue, a vivid beam of light shot out, hitting its mark and knocking Sora/Ophelia to the ground, releasing poor Chiyo. She hastily ran to Owen with his arms spread out, ready to catch and hug her, which is exactly what he did to the shaken girl. Mimi looked down at her hands, which were sparkling brightly with light energy. She realized she was learning more about her powers all over, but she had no time to revel this knowledge. Sora Ophelia sprung back up, gnarled weapon at her side. On second thought, why should I waste my time on a stupid little child, when my real rage is being directed at the girl who took everything away from me? She lunged at Mimi with intense venom, only to get blindsided by her own staff, which Mimi had gotten a hold of. Sora, you gotta fight this. She can't keep a hold of you forever. I'm sorry now, honey. Now submit! She began a long duel with Mimi between her bone sword and a staff, each girl unwilling to back down. Every swing they threw at each other was deflected by the opposing side. Sora Ophelia did all she could to belittle Mimi. Oh, come on, Mimi, just give up. Your friends will all be gone soon enough, you know. I won't back down, she said between swings. She increased the pressure, surprisingly bringing Sora down to her knees. Despite her raising their bone sword in front of her like a shield, the rest of Mimi's friends looked in solemn silence, but all were praying for a victory over this monster. Come on, Memes. You're a tough, bubbly girl. You can do this, Tomo thought. We're all here for you, Mimi. Never give up. That light of yours will help you, Sekaki thought. Never thought I'd say this, but you got this, babe. You're a tough little cookie, and you could beat anyone, Jimmy thought. As she kept fighting, Mimi could feel her friends praying for her. It made her stronger and gave her more will to fight. She brought the staff down even harder on her opponent's shield, finally breaking into pieces. Sora gasped, looking down at the shards of her sole weapon in disbelief that someone weaker than her had just broken it. But the disbelief quickly turned to more anger as she lunged at Mimi, breaking the staff with such force that both ends flew in the air, coming back down on Mimi's feet. She then clocked Mimi right in the face, knocking her back with such a force that she was blasted to the wall and to the outside. The others tried to run, but Sora whipped around and glared at them, keeping them at bay. Now heavily bleeding, barely conscious, and harboring a black eye, Mimi began a desperate crawl to safety. But Sora brought her foot down on top of her, pressing her down to the ground, a pained squeak escaping her throat. She looked up at her tormentor and found the most horrible transformation had begun. Where the bone sword had been, a new arm had grown in its place, but it wasn't Sora's. The new limb was of a pale light blue tint, with bands of black goo oozing across it, and a glove made of the same goo. Sora clutched the arm in glee, her eyes going from full red to regular white, but with violet pupils in place of the normal brown. I'm almost there, guys. Almost there. We will be together forever now, after I put out this girl's light for good. Mimi's mind was racing. She could still feel her friend's love for her, and she knew she couldn't submit now. She would never back down from a challenge. She was frightened or hurt. She knew she had to find something that could give her an edge against her tormentor. Scanning the surrounding area, she finally saw it. The beautifully cracked sword she had seen earlier, still wedged in a rock prison. She saw her chance, but as she tried to crawl away, Sora pressed her foot deeper into Mimi's back, squeezing her ribcage and nearly squeezing the life out of Mimi. My God, why won't you die already? She grabbed Mimi by the back of her short shirt, forcing her to face her. But that was just what Mimi needed. From the palm of her hand, she conjured up another orb of light, threw it right into Sora's face, where it burst into a bright flash, blinding the transformed girl. Ow! Fuck! Fuck my fucking eyes! Where'd you go, you little bitch? I'll find you! She clutched her eyes in agony, giving Mimi the perfect head start to make a break for the sword. She suddenly remembered it now. It wasn't just any old sword. It was her sword. What the hell is she going? She's freaking scared, Jimmy called her out. No, wait, Jimmy. I think she's going for that sword, Sekaki pointed out. The sword? This is no time for a reenactment of the sword to the stone. We got a friend in trouble, Tomo reminded everyone. Whoa, what a way to tell us. Eyes watering heavily, Sora could only rely on sound to find her way. And when she heard Mimi was making a break for it, she tried to chase after her, but only stumbled blindly about. She decided to call her out. Don't do it, Mimi! Sora would have wanted you to finish the fight, wouldn't she? But Mimi wasn't listening, even if it was tearing her heart in two. Now she wanted to desperately save her friend from Miss Ophelia. She had to get the sword. With a couple more blinks, Sora's vision returned, much to the dismay of everyone else. But they, however, decided to act. Owen and Splosion Man jumped on her, grabbing both her arms and holding her back, preventing her from going anywhere. She snarled and thrashed at him, but to no avail. Mimi already reached the sword's rock at the point. Deep down in Sora's mind, Ophelia knew about it, and how its power was beyond anything she could have imagined. She knew she had to stop Mimi from getting it back, or she'll surely be defeated. She tried to call out Mimi again. You know anything about that sword? The truth to kill you! Mimi's energy was beginning to deteriorate as she flung herself onto the rock. She strained to pull herself up, ignoring anything else that anyone had to say. I promise you regret doing this. You're messing with powers you know nothing about. Shut up! You can't stop me! You hurt my friends and you're gonna pay! She pulled herself up to her feet, grabbing the sword by the handle, ready to pull. Light, guide me. Sora had had enough of toying around now. When I fleeing, she threw Splosion Man and Owen off of her, but he's still not giving up. Do Mimi, it's your only chance! Get the chopper! What? Never mind. Mimi, no! It all happened in an instant. Mimi gave a great tug, and the sword was risen from its prison, as if it were light as a feather. She was thrown back, sword in hand, aglow with light. Everybody in her area was incredibly amazed. Holy crap, she got it! How did she lift that out like that? I couldn't. She's covered in light. She's like a nightlight. Way to go, Mimi! Excuse me.
Easy there.
If something reminds you of something, please stop me. It's starting to look a little strange. Holding the sword in her hand at long last, Mimi felt an even greater power surging through her body. The vibrant aura of light that had surrounded her when she first entered this world had returned to her, entered her, which caused her to shudder violently. She whimpered greatly as she felt the power of the sword re-enter her tiny body. But then she felt it. Memories entering her mind. Memories of her creation of the land. She saw him, the one her friends had been talking about. Only a silhouette, but she saw him, the one who had given everything in this world life. She could hear him talk to her. With this light I bestow upon you the power to overcome the darkness, something I could not do myself. You must go and find the four that had left us. Only then can I be whole again. She felt it. A sense of booming pride, strength, and everlasting power coursed through her veins. She remembered it all now. This was indeed her sword. She was indeed the one who could save this land. And she was going to start with her possessed friend, Sora. Light, give me strength. She held her sword up to the sky triumphantly. As she did so, the red evening sky cracked open. A bright, dazzling column of light shot down, and it channeled through the sword. Mimi felt herself becoming stronger than ever. Mass amounts of light energy surging through her at an incredible speed. With one wave of the sword, Mimi filled the sky with many, many stars where they belonged. The sky was lit up like a stage, every star twinkling brightly. Everyone cheered her on as Sora tried to shield herself.
Oh, the light! I can't take it! Stop the stars! Stop the cheering! Stop it all!
Mimi clutched the blade and handle of the sword tightly, creating a surge of white electricity across it. She then slid her clenched fists across the blade, transferring the electronic charges into her hand. Then, with an incredible speed that she had never gone, she charged towards her enemy in a near blinding comet. Sora found herself caught in the path of an almighty uppercut, which launched her high in the air before coming back down with a massive thud. When she recovered, the two girls locked eyesight, staring down each other. Sora attempted to keep an angered visage against Mimi, but could no longer do so. She knew now that she had no chance against Mimi, that she had reclaimed her sword. She quickly turned, scared, and as she got back to her feet to attempt to fight her some more, she was forced to catch Mimi's weapon as it was thrust towards her, just inches from her heart. In a last-ditch effort to save herself, Sora began to plead with Mimi. "Wait, Mimi, please don't do this. I just want to be your friend. I don't want to be lonely anymore." She struggled as hard as she could, clenching onto the sword with all her might as Mimi pushed it closer toward her chest, the glowing aura around the blade intensifying. Man, this is starting to becoming one of those epic battles I keep seeing. Sora pleadingly shook her head as tears escaping her eye. "Don't do this, please. I can't leave this body yet. I'm so close to being whole again." This was all Mimi needed to hear. With one final push, she pushed the sword past her opponent's grip with her open palm, plunging the blade right into her heart. As soon as it hit flesh, the sword filled Sora with a light stronger than she had ever encountered. Every orifice of her dark body began to glow like a Christmas tree. Even her eyes lit up as she let out one last wail of agony. The area was covered in a blinding flash. When it was cleared, Mimi was standing over Sora's barely conscious body. A profound silence fell as Mimi shook her head, looking down at her sword, then back to Sora. There was no stab mark on her chest, not even any blood on her sword. What Mimi had really done was expunge Ophelia from out of Sora's body. All of a sudden, a roar of thunderous cheers came behind her, as Mimi's friends ran up and hugged all over her, graciously thanking her for such an amazing display of strength and courage. "Ain't no hollering back, girl," Miss Splosion Man spurted out. "That was even better than any fireworks show," Osaka dreamily said. "You saved our friend, Mimi. You're a hero," Chiyo exclaimed. "Every doubt I had about you has officially gone away with that little fight, little Mimi," Tomo added. "Wait, guys. Where's Ophelia?" Sekaki questioned. Everybody quieted down when they heard that, immediately scanning the area for any sign of the girl who had possessed Sora. But when Chiyo suddenly cried out, "Look over there in the shadows!" everyone instantaneously looked in the direction to see Ophelia covered in darkness, save for the glow of her violet pupils. Clutching her chest as what appeared to be blood spurted from the wound she had gotten, she glared at Mimi before vanishing in a shroud of dark clouds. Another day, light girl. Another day. Amidst the descending chaos, Sora had woken up. The others turned to face her as she rubbed her head, as was she noticed the hole that she had punched Mimi through in her possessed state. Before she could ask if she was the cause, she then noticed a deep bleeding gash down Mimi's side. "Oh, Mimi, did I do that?" Tears have already started streaming down her cheek as she flung herself into Mimi's waiting arms, desperate to be held. "Mimi, I'm so sorry to hurt you. I had no control over anything. It was her that did all this stuff to you. I can never hurt you." "Shh. Mimi hushed her friends' crying, lifting her chin so that they may look into each other's eyes. Then a
There
move
comes.
nobody expected. Mimi leaned in and planted a long, passionate kiss right onto Sora's lips. Surprised at first, she found herself returning the kiss, each girl holding each other close. Not surprising, the men in the group whooped it up, sans Owen. After several long seconds of kissing, Sora and Mimi looked back at each other, Sora heavily blushing. Oh my! Thank you, Mimi! The two girls smiled at each other before earning another set of cheers from their old friends. Sora then told all that they would be going back inside, where Mimi would be given what she had rightfully deserved for saving everybody. An hour later, and another drink for me, please.
Yes.
After resting up for a while, Mimi was now sitting down in the room she was given, eating some of the many sweets the others had given her. As she happily nibbed and suckled on a chocolate bar, she heard a knock on the door. "Hey, Mimi, could I come in, please?" It was Sora. Of course. Sora sat down in front of Mimi, taking an open candy bar that Mimi had offered her. As the two finished their treats, Sora began to speak to her savior. "Mimi, I can't even describe in words how amazed I am by you. I mean, beating a ditzy, bubbly little girl that's the embodiment of light? That's a marvel. But when the same girl shows off an astonishing display of power, when a weapon none of us thought could be used, and saving me, this leader of this group of outcasts, that's a pure miracle." Hearing such kind words coming from her best friend, it made Mimi blush in happiness. "Oh, thanks, Sora. I didn't know my mere existence was so important to you guys." "Are you kidding? You made everything better here. You helped Miss Sekaki break out of that little shell of hers. You showed us that you really know pushover. And most of all, you drove off a good piece of the dark forces that were haunting this place. But that's one reason I came here to get you. The others, I wanted to know more about how you got here." "Okay. I'll do my best." As she stood back up, Sora requested, "Oh, and bring that sword with you," before leaving the room. Hearing this, Mimi turned to her sword, which she had hung on the wall by her bed. Carefully removing it from the holster, she caressed it in her hands for a moment, taking the fact that it had been so long since she used it. Another few seconds of remembrance passed before Mimi left the room, sword in hand, and heading for the front porch. While she stepped out the front door, she found everybody, including Sora, seating before her. She jumped for a second. "It's all right, Memes. We just want to know the story." "We're all listening." "Okay." Sitting down in front of her friend, she placed the sword by her side. Digging deep into the lost memories she had reclaimed, she began to tell of her entrance to this world. All right, I might go a little slow since there's a lot to tell. But here goes. When I was first born, the first thing I saw was this red evening haze, and a house behind me. It looked like a quaint little house, and of course, I was wondering who could be living out there. But then when I looked back in front of me, there was the silhouette of a man. She paused for a moment to clutch her head, trying to remember. He started talking to me. He said he had created me as his light, that this was the world he had shaped with his imagination. He told me to find the force so he can be whole again. Everybody instantaneously gasped. They all knew who she was talking about, and they couldn't believe it. "Oh my God, Mimi, you saw him?" Tomo gasped. "Well, there was a guy that talked to me, so yeah, I guess I saw him. But who is he?" "You don't know?" Chiyo added. "He's the one that made this world possible. The one that made us possible. And he was the first person you saw when he came here? That's more than luck, Mimi." "So he really was important to us all? Where'd he go?" "That's why we're all worried," Mimi, Sora continued. "He vanished one day without a word, and his place quickly fell into the darkness. We thought we'd all be screwed until you came along, so what else do you have to tell?" "Well, When he told me I was his light, I was a little confused at first. I didn't know that I was so important to this world, but he took me under his wing and he trained me in more martial arts and fighting styles than I can remember. I've done better than his own expectations. That's why he knew he had done the right thing in creating me, and that's how I got this. She held up her sword for all to see. They all marveled at his sheer beauty before Tomo once again ended. So you not only met him, but he also gave you all those combat and magic tricks? You maybe are something else. Well, this sword, he called it the Lightforce Sword. He told me that he had crafted it specifically for me to use, that I was the only one who could use it. It filled me with light energy and it made me stronger than I ever was before. Excuse me. He told me that with this sword and my strength and heart, I would be nearly unstoppable, and that's what the last I saw of him. He sent me here to help you guys, and that's all I remember now. She felt less shy in front of everyone now. Her friends were certainly incredibly impressed with her story, giving her a small round of applause, but Mimi still had more. But I still don't know. What was he talking about when he told me to find the four? The others suddenly took on very grim looks before Sora answered her question. The four? Boy, it's been nearly a while since I've heard a name. We since forgotten almost everything about them. But they were our friends before he vanished. By any chance, did he say anything about them to you? Well, now that I think about it, I actually do remember him saying one final word before I left him. Who are the four, you might be wondering, little Mimi. They are, or rather were, my guardians. They watched over this land with me and protected me as well, but they split apart across the land for reasons even I myself don't know. That's why I leave you with this solemn mission. Find the four, reunite them with you and your new friends, and finally purge this land of the darkness that currently engulfs it. Alone, I am far too weak at the moment to do anything, but you, little Mimi, are a true army of one. Alone, you are formidable, but uniting with others, you are unstoppable. Now go, this new world awaits you. They helped him? Even after all they've done to this place? Well, that's what he told me. Too bad I have no clue as to where any of them are. You're a smart girl, Mimi. Almost as smart as me, Chiyo said. Oh, hold on. Oh, God.
Nice one.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just bent over and then belch. Sorry about that. Alright, continuing on. Wonder how many people are still lost at this point. Hopefully nobody. Alright, everyone. Alright, sorry. You're a smart girl, Mimi, almost as smart as me, Chiyo said. I'm sure you can figure it out somehow. Mimi smiled before she let out a long yawn, which she had been holding back for quite some time. Alright, everyone, I think it's about time we hit the hay. We all been through quite a lot with Mimi's spectacular performance today, and we're all worn out. Everyone else nodded along with Sora, stretching as they stood back up and going back inside. But Sora suddenly pulled Mimi aside, a move which surprised her. Hey, look, Mimi. About that kiss you gave me, I sort of liked it. It's the first time something like that's ever happened to me, and oh God, I better make this quick. In a split second, Sora kissed Mimi before pulling it away, attempting to hide her blush. Both girls then giggled with each other, happy once more, before returning to their respective rooms, ready for a long night's sleep. That night, Mimi dreamed. There we go. As Mimi woke up, she found herself in a place that was far beyond anything she recognized. The sky here was redder and darker as it already was, with many lightning cracks across the haze. What had been her bed was now a long slab of red, darkened rock. Feeling cold, hard earth against her cheek caused her to jump from the platform onto the hard rock. As she looked around, Mimi saw there was absolutely no light in this place. She began to panic again. Knowing she was far away from her friends or anyone could help her. She tried calling out. "Hello, anybody? Somebody? I don't want to be alone. Someone help me!" But it was no use. Her cries simply echoed throughout the vast canyons. As she looked down over the cliff she was on, she saw a most horrific sight. An ocean of blood, massive waves crashing against canyon walls. As she fell on her bottom and backed up from her nightmare, she suddenly bumped into someone. She turned to see a silhouette of a man, but it wasn't him. The shadow was much different. The man was slightly taller than him and wore a hooded cape. On his right hand, she saw some sort of glove-like apparatus. As the man turned to look down at Mimi, she froze in place as she saw only two large glowing red eyes looking back down at her, and she could feel him staring deep into her soul. He spoke to her, but when he spoke, Mimi could tell he was not human. His voice was of a warped, demon-like nature. So it was he who taxed you with finding the four. She shakily nodded yes. Mimi couldn't see the figure from under the darkness of his hood, but as his eyes narrowed, she could feel a most evil grin from his face. A grim chuckle escaped his lips. "Well, I certainly found you, and I shall certainly be keeping my eye on you, if you survive the other three." The chuckle blew up into a full crackle, as from the apparatus's hand 5 long, cold steel knives shot out ready to slice. Just as he raised his hand up, ready to strike, Mimi screamed and closed her eyes, awaiting her death, but it never came. I guess this is the end of the dream sequence. In a heartbeat,
Oh my, this song.
In a heartbeat, Mimi has sprung up from her bed, still alive and back in her room, and her bed sheets were drenched in sweat. She inhaled and exhaled deeply, relieved that it was just a bad dream. But yet, in a sense, Mimi felt as if it were not a dream, that she really felt the presence of the hooded figure, but was pulled back to reality by some unforeseen force just before he struck her, stripping her sweat-drenched sheets off her. She stood up in the middle of her room and stretched. As she looked in the mirror, she pouted at her dismal reflection. Why? Hang on, people.
Sorry about that.
That was weird.
My internet kind of cut out.
Sure.
Anyways.
But then she heard it, a familiar voice emanating from beyond. "Mimi, can you hear me?" she asked. "Is it really you?" "It is. You're speaking to he himself." "But I thought the others said you vanished." "Oh, not quite. I've just been in a weaker state ever since all the events that had transpired since the forced disappearance and your birth." "Oh well. What do you need?" "Oh, excuse me." "Mimi, I could not be more proud of you than from the way I saw you handle the Lightforce Sword. Truly, I made the right choice in bestowing his power upon you, and it shows from the display of bravery and strength you showed in saving your friend from the darkness overshadowing her." "Oh my, I never felt like I was so important before, but I have no idea where any of the four are. I don't want to let you down. As your friend said, you're a very intelligent girl, but you also have something else that can help you." She looked over at where her sword was, but saw that it somehow disappeared. She did not panic, but instead thought hard of where it could have gone. As she thought, however, she suddenly felt a weight in her hand. When she opened her eyes, she was surprised. She had consciously summoned the Lightforce Sword to herself in a bright yet brief flash of light. Thinking hard again, she thought of it vanishing, and it did just that. Smiling at her new discovery, he continued speaking to her. "You see, Mimi, with a sword, you have no reason to fear a challenge. It'll always point you in the right direction. Now I must go, and you, little Mimi, have a task to fulfill." "Wait, don't go just yet." I have a dream. I was in these rocky canyons with an ocean of blood, and I saw this man. I couldn't see his face except for 2 red eyes, and he nearly hit me with his bladed glove thingy. She waited for an answer before he revealed something to her. So you've seen him, have you? Has he appeared to you? Uh-huh. Then he's still alive, the oldest of the 4. He must have felt your presence after you saved Sora. There's no doubt in my mind that he will tell the others. Although knowing his nature, he'd probably bide his time until you reach his domain, but... I can't speak anymore. Talking to you like this for so long greatly drains my little power I left. I must go now. Good luck and farewell, little Mimi. And he was gone. Mimi was left standing in the middle of the room alone. But with all that he had told her, she knew nothing. She could not stand around anymore. Sorry, I misread that. She knew now that she could not stand around anymore. She had to find a way to reunite the 4. And she had to do it now. Redressing herself in her sweatpants and white sleeveless belly shirt, she tiptoed out of her room for the front door, trying her best not to awake the others. She sneaked about. She practiced summoning her sword and sending it away. As she kept doing it, it kept progressively easier to do so. By the time she had found her exit, she could summon her weapon in less than a heartbeat. Incredibly proud of herself, she began to turn the knob when... Mimi, is that you? Mimi whipped around in fright to see Sora standing by the adjacent hallway in a red nightgown. What are you doing up this early? Mimi could see that she could not lie to her best friend, so she told Sora the whole story. I had a dream. Well, no, not a dream. A vision. I saw this man in a hooded cape, who said that he was watching me, along with the rest of the 4. But before he could hurt me, I was pulled out of the dream by... him. He spoke to me again. He says I have to go find the 4 now. I can't let him down after all he did. He gave me life, Sora. He made me possible. He taught me everything he knew and made me his light. I look up to him, Sora. I can't let him down. I gotta fulfill this destiny of mine to save this world. Then go, Mimi. I'm sorry, Sora, but I ask that you please not stop. What? I know of your connection with him, Mimi. I know you and him share a bond, both mental and physical. And I know how much he means to you, how much you look up to him, for all he's done to you, for us, the world. This is your destiny, Mimi. I won't stop you. I know in the end you still care for me and the others, no matter what you go. Mimi blushed once more. So go. Find the 4. Save the world. We'll be praying for you, and with that, Sora and Mimi shared one final kiss and smile before Mimi went out the front door and down the road from the hideout, where along her light figure disappeared into the darkness of the surrounding woods. Good luck, light girl. And now the following morning, which will finish up this story. Sorry.
Yes. Well, the first chapter of it, at least.
Yes. Guys, everyone, we got Mimi's gone! Chiyo screamed was the first thing that had awoken everybody. A massive rumbling of feet scattered to get up what was heard as everybody, still in their respective pajamas, made a mad dash to Mimi's now empty room. Everyone was left aghast at the disappearance. First him, now Mimi. Oh, I was just beginning to like that girl, Tomo cried. A runner! On the run! Very fast! Splosion Man babbled. Don't know why. Maybe she turned into the moon like Ophi said I was going to do. Y'all had to agree with that? Osaka said, but then Jimmy opened his mouth, ready to blame their friend for leaving them. I knew it. I knew we couldn't freaking trust her. She buttered us all up, and then we think she hot, but she takes us off. Liar! He emphasized the last part heavily before naturally being shut up by Owen, who continued for everyone else. Oh, come on, guys. Surely she couldn't have just left without having a good darn reason for doing so. She must have told someone when she was leaving. She did. Everyone immediately hushed and turned to face Sora, the last one walking down the hall with Sekaki by her side. She had a very sullen look on her face, and she faced her followers. She knew she couldn't say nothing but the truth. I caught her in the middle of the night last night. She had a truthful reason why. She told me he had told her to find the 4 again. She went into hysterics, telling me she owed her like to him, and for all he did to her, especially giving her life. She said it was their destiny to fulfill his wishes and save this world, so I did it. I let her go. Everyone silenced themselves, once again broken by Chiyo's realization. Sora's right, guys. If he spoke to Mimi, then she would have no excuse not to leave. I know she can save this world, right? The others soon agreed in unison, turning towards each other and conversating on the matter at hand. The monotony, however, was soon broken by Tomo. Well, why are we all just standing here? We should go follow her! Osaka and Chiyo chipped in with her. Yeah, come on, y'all. We saved her and she repaid a favor. Now all we gotta do is save her. Soon the others followed suit, all willing to risk their lives to follow their savior. Sekaki then spoke to all in place of Sora. Guys, now listen up. Mimi changed all of us. She brought us all together as a true team, and she helped me overcome shyness. It's like I could finally talk to people again. But why were you all climbing down in the first place? Jimmy questioned. Because she tried to force words out of my mouth all the time. Mimi could see I didn't want to talk, and she respected that. She knew I was shy, yet she didn't get up into my face when I didn't respond. Jamie jumped back from hearing Sekaki assert herself, but she immediately reverted back to her usual calm nature. Anyways, again, Mimi's simple presence here was enough to change us all. And the fact that he, the one that made us all possible, looked over her is really something special. I think we owe it to ourselves to try and follow her. Sora, who had been wearing a worried look at the whole conversation transpired, was spontaneously filled with a brave, courageous feeling. In an instant she ran back to her room, got dressed, and returned with a new bow staff in hand. Let's go, team. We got a world to aid. A thunderous cheering fit, and everyone was running out the door into the darkness. The end.